now we move to the next session. I've enjoyed getting to know this guy for a while too. He and his partner, his buddy, Kevin Kaufman, have had a big impact on my real estate business. And so I'm excited to introduce to you guys Fred Weaver.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, Eric. Thanks for letting me be a part of this Southwest Ohio Real Estate Expo, man. This is some good stuff we got going on today.
Yes, it is. I just want to start by saying I'm super appreciative that you would take the time to do this. You're over there on the other side of the world almost, so to speak. So it's early in the day for you, and I know you have a busy day. So I appreciate you would take the time to do this.
Absolutely.
You guys, you and Kevin are some of those people that have had a big impact on our business in a lot of ways. Some of them, super obvious, and some not so obvious that people would know. But I'm appreciative of that, and I'm appreciative you would do this. So I'm going to do a little intro on Fred Weaver so everyone knows who this guy is, and then I'm going to get out of his way. Fred Weaver, along with his business partner Kevin Kaufman, are the co-founders of Group 4610 Network, a real estate sales team founded in 2008. That was a great year to start a real estate business, Fred.
Right.
2008, huh? Group 4610 Network is a training-focused, fast-paced, technology-driven real estate team selling houses throughout North America. Group 4610 has been acknowledged as one of the top 250 real estate teams in the nation year after year, and has been recognized by publications such as the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends. Fred is also one of the co-founders of the Facebook group Next Level Agents, which previously I described as the largest, and Kevin corrected me on that. But I will say I believe it's the best Facebook group for real estate in the country. So if you're not a member of Next Level Agents, I highly recommend you go find that in Facebook, not now, but later, and join that group. And he is one of the co-founders and hosts of the podcast, The Kevin and Fred Show. So Fred, thanks for doing this. I appreciate that you would jump in here. Fred's session is building a team. He certainly knows a thing or two about that. I've certainly learned a thing or two or way more about that from you guys. So I'm out of your way. I appreciate this, man. Take off. I'll be back.
Honored to be able to present and share with you. It's always a little unique talking to your computer screen, not knowing who's there and listening. So if you type in the chat box and let me know if you have a question, let me know if you're tuned in, let me know what I can bring to you in the next 10, 15 minutes here around team building. That would be awesome. So let me give you a little bit of my perspective around team building, maybe while a few of you start chatting in the chat box for me. My perspective on team building is this. There's a lot of people that will tell you how to build a team, but I firmly believe that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to a team. In fact, I think building a team in some regards has become kind of the cool topic that you're supposed to go out and do because somebody else told you. But I believe that building a team needs to come from within you. There's probably a desire within you to make more money, or perhaps have more time in your life, or perhaps build something bigger than yourself, right? And I think that's where team building can come in and can really assist all of us. So I happen to run a real estate team that today has about 50 people in our organization between salespeople and administrative people. We've been as small as 3 of us, my business partner, Kevin, and my brother. We've been as large as about 120 of us with salespeople and admin across different states. And I'm here to tell you that I really don't think there's a one-size-fits-all approach, and I don't think that you need to subscribe to doing it one way. But I do want to give you some suggestions today if you are in a place where you're looking to add some leverage to your life, add some money to your life, grow something that maybe is perhaps a little bit bigger than yourself. So the first thing I would say is for those of you out there that maybe don't have a team, currently it's just you, an exercise that I'd like to give you that you could leave today and go complete. And you could do this in probably under 10 minutes if you were focused on it, is I would like you to grab a scratch piece of paper at some point later today if you have a desire to start a team or you've always wondered what would it look like. And I want you to draw a line right down the middle of the paper. And on the left-hand side, I want you to go ahead and write, hey, these are the things that I actually enjoy doing in my real estate business. And on the right-hand side of the page, I want you to go ahead and write, these are all the things that if I didn't have to do them in my real estate business, I would be even that much happier, right? So I want you to write down things that you love doing in your real estate business on one side of the paper, things that you don't love doing so much on the other side of the paper. And the reason that I have you start with this type of exercise is because I believe that you need some more clarity before starting a real estate team. One of the issues and struggles that I see with people that go out and start a real estate team is they start with no direction. They're not really sure why they're starting. They're not really sure what they're all about. They're not really sure what parts of the business they enjoy and what they don't, what they'd like to keep, what they'd like to get rid of. And so sometimes I see people make the deadly mistake, or what I consider to be the deadly mistake, of bringing on another salesperson in their business before they even have an administrative person. So if you were to ask me today, hey, Fred, what should I do? Who would be the first person if I were to start a team? Who would be the first person I would hire? My answer to you would be some sort of administrative specialist. Now, that could be a full-time person in your office or that comes to your home and works right next to you. That could be a virtual assistant that you use. My good friend, Justin Nelson, runs a really great virtual assistant company called Sphere Rocket. You can learn more about that if you'd like in our Facebook group, as Eric mentioned, Next Level Agents. We can get you some more info. We did some webinars there. But I think the key to team building is there's usually a couple reasons people build it, right? I find that they fall into one of three categories. You want to get something off your plate that you don't enjoy doing, right? That's where that exercise I just described comes in really handy. Or you want to build something that's bigger than yourself, right? So maybe it's not all about the money, but you enjoy working around other people. Well, it's still good to be clear on what you're good at, what you prefer not to do. And then lastly, I would say is that some people build it because they want to make more money. And so if that's your intent as well, I still think the exercise of going through the tasks you like to do, the tasks you don't like to do is very helpful. So what I would share with you in 12 plus years of building a team is, again, there's not a one size fits all approach. Okay. If you were to make a first hire in your real estate business, I highly encourage you to make that hire an administrative hire. One of the mistakes, again, I see people make is they'll bring on a buyer's agent. But you know what happens when you bring on a buyer's agent? That buyer's agent goes out and needs your help, they need your support with things. They go out and write offers. They then need some help with transaction coordination. And the mistake that you find yourself making early on when building a team is you find yourself going into a place of being the administrative person for the agent you just hired. And what I've found is that most people that build a team aren't good administrative folks to begin with. So hire that administrative person first. One of the other big topics that I think comes up a lot around team building is compensation. You know, what should I compensate people? What does that look like? Well, let's rewind for a second and let's ask the question, if you're building a real estate team, whether you're starting from scratch today or whether you already have one, I think it's important that you're extremely clear on what your value proposition is, right? Your value proposition is, why would somebody want to work with you? Now, most top real estate agents or most successful real estate agents are pretty clear on what their value proposition is to a prospective buyer client as well as a prospective seller client. Like if I asked you, why would you list your home with you rather than the Eric Lowry team? Or why would somebody list their home with you rather than with me? You would probably say, well, this is the service I provide. I'm very specialized in the Southwest Ohio market. I've got X number of sales in this subdivision. I've maybe lived in this area for a long time. You'd give me a list of things, right? If I was listing my home. And so the same way that you're going about, positioning a value proposition for a real estate client, you now have to go and create a value proposition for a real estate agent. Meaning that if you're going to build a team, if you're going to build an organization, if some administrative people and some sales people are eventually going to join your real estate team, so you guys can all go out and make more money, have more significance, maybe have more time back in your life, you're going to want to be really clear on why would somebody join you. So the other thing I encourage you to slow down and do is just ask yourself the question, why would somebody want to join your organization if you're building a real estate team? What is it that you can offer to them, right? And you want to be clear on that. The same way that you would relay that to a potential seller client, you want to be able to relay that to a potential real estate agent. So I'll give you an example. As an example, our real estate team, we're very technology based. You heard Eric in our introduction, we're a technology focused company. We're also a very training focused company. So in my particular real estate organization, we actually love helping first time real estate agents, brand new real estate agents into the business, start their careers. We've built a very comprehensive training or manual, if you will, training platform. It's online videos and written material and a whole learning path, if you will. And so we love working with brand new real estate agents. So I would say to you, you don't have to decide right this second, hey, I want to hire new agents, I want to hire experienced agents, but you do want to ask yourself the question before you run out and build a team, or maybe you have one today and you're trying to scale and grow your team. You need to be really clear on why it is that somebody would want to join your organization. So some of the things that I say to our company, right, to people that are looking at our company is, hey, we have a great training organization. We're very technology based, right? I also think that it matters. In our particular organization, we sell a couple hundred homes every single year. So a new agent coming in off the street, it's sometimes a little hard to go out and compete for that new listing or that buyer when you don't have all that past sales experience. So being able to leverage an existing team with some results and some experience there is obviously very helpful for a lot of new real estate agents. So if any of you out there and you have some questions for me, I got a couple other thoughts I'm going to share with you, before I wind down here in the next 5 to 7 minutes. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you have some questions. But again, let's go back and kind of summarize some of the points I've talked about. I think that most people build a real estate team for one of three reasons. They want more time, leverage in their life, right? They want some of their time back. They want to get rid of the stuff they don't like. They just don't like parts of the business, or they potentially want to build something bigger than themselves. They like being around other people. They like the money that they can make in a real estate team and a real estate organization. So no matter what your particular, reason is, if you will, for joining and starting a real estate team, I think it's important that you're very clear on why you're doing it and why people would join your organization. Now let's circle back to compensation for a minute, because I know that's one of the hot questions that people ask all the time. What do you compensate somebody? Well, there's virtual assistant companies out there. I mentioned my friend Justin earlier with Sphere Rocket, where you can get a virtual assistant that works for you for a couple $100 a month. This is a full-time 40-hour-a-week virtual assistant. Now, it has some pluses and it absolutely has some minuses. This is not a licensed real estate professional, so there's some limitations on what they can and can't do. I think that when it comes to administrative information, though, if you can hand off some of that to a virtual assistant early on at a low cost, it's a great way to test things out. But I'm also a believer that if you're going to build something bigger for yourself, having a full-time admin that works in your organization and looking at that check that you're going to write to that person as an investment is very important. One of the best pieces of advice that ever was given to me when we were first hiring our first big employee, somebody that I had to spend 40, 50, almost upwards of $60,000 a year to hire, was to make sure that I had at least 6 months worth of that person's salary in a savings account. What does that mean? Hey, if the person you're hiring is going to cost you $3,000 or $4,000 a month, then it would be a good idea to have somewhere between $18,000 and maybe $25,000 saved. Why do I say that? Because when you bring leverage into your organization, when you start building a business, there's not an immediate return on your investment, right? I think most of us know that. We know that when we get in the business, it takes some time to build a pipeline. It's the same type of thing when building a business. If you're going to hire salespeople or administrative people, you're not going to get an immediate return on that investment, right? Either that check or that time or that combination of both of those. So one of the best pieces of advice I ever got when starting a team and making that decision to hire somebody initially is to go ahead and save that money, right? Have some money saved up on the sideline so that you can give yourself a full 3 to 6 months for that person to find out, are they the right fit for your organization? And are they going to be in a position where they can help you make more money and get more of your time back long term? So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Now, when it comes to salespeople, how do you compensate them? Well, there's a lot of different models out there, right? I think historically the 50-50 commission split model was a very traditional model that a lot of people use. That one still works. You also find a lot of real estate teams today that compensate higher amounts or lower amounts. I think you have to step back and look at what your value proposition is. If you as a real estate team leader are the one that's generating all the business that the agents and the people on your team are going out and closing, then you can probably keep more of the money, right? So as an example, there was a time in our real estate business where 70% or more of the closings that we did on a monthly basis were from leads or business that my business partner and I generated. So as you can imagine, those splits on our team, they were 50% or less, meaning that we were keeping 50% or more of every transaction that was done. There's been other times in our business, though, where about 30% or less of the business that we generate on a monthly basis is done from leads or business that we generate, right? So we charge in accordance to what that value proposition is and how much of that business that we're actually giving to other people. I think that's kind of the key here. So what I would encourage you to do, if you're trying to build a team, it's a little tough for me without knowing your exact situation to give you specific advice here today, but I would encourage you to look at going out and hiring a coach. Look at hiring a coach as an investment, because sometimes it's that third-party validation. It's that third-party perspective. It's that person that sits on your board of directors, if you will, that looks into your company and says, hey, Eric, hey, Fred, have you thought about doing it this way? Have you noticed, have you stopped and actually spent time to see where most of your business is coming from? Have you noticed that you have this going for you, but you have this working against you, right? So I think it's that third party validation, having somebody out there that is in a position where they're not quite, they're not as biased as you are. They're not as close to the real estate team that you're building as you are, give you some of that feedback and some of that advice, so that you can go out and then make better real estate decisions. So whatever reason it is you're building a real estate business, if you want more time back, if you want to get stuff off your plate you don't like, you want to be around people and you want to build something bigger than yourself, if you just want to make more money, I think all of it's great. But understand you're about to go on a journey. If you're building a real estate team right now, you already know you're on a journey. You're on a journey of personal development at a level that some people will never understand, right? Because all of the things that go on in your business, they're all a reflection of how are you doing as a business owner? What are those decisions like? How are you sewing into people? How are you showing up every day? What does that look like? So what I would encourage you to do is come from a beginner's mind, come from a place of allowing yourself to make mistakes, come from a place of knowing that you won't have it right all at the same time. Come from a place where you don't get married to your model. That's one of the other things I got from a mentor of mine many years ago, is that don't be attached or married to your model, because you know what? Your model as a real estate team and business owner is going to change. If, let's just take an example, if your favorite real estate company out there, ABC Realty, had been married to their model when they started 30, 40 years ago, do you think they would still be around today, right? I belong to a real estate company called EXP. When we started 10 years ago, our model looked very different than it does today. If we were married to how it always had to look from the beginning, we wouldn't have evolved and grown. So I give you that same advice, right? Come from a place of not being too attached or married to what your model looks like. Be willing to surround yourself with coaches and mentors and other people that can help you along the way, and be willing to mess up. It's okay, right? I think that's what business building and growth is all about.
Well, Fred, I have tons of questions, right? Like you and I we could have this little private conversation and go on for a couple more hours probably, and yet we won't.
Absolutely.
One of the things though that I was going to ask you was, what's one of the bigger, more common mistakes you see people make when they're building a team? Or maybe what's the one you remember making? And so I went on then in my mind as I was watching and listening to you to say, you were talking about getting a coach, a mentor, and so forth. And one of the things I think, I'll share mine first, and then I really want to hear yours. I don't want it to be about me. But one of the things I did was trying to go it alone too much at first in the team building. And like when my business started taking off, it's been, a build for the last couple of years, really, where we've gotten to where we are today and where we're going. But it was really when I started coaching with Kevin, and it was just like he opened my mind up to like just, a lot of things. But one of them was just like, dude, there's some of us who just went before you and have already made a lot of these mistakes, and
yeah,
let us just tell you how not to do some of this stuff. So that was kind of my thought that through. But I'm curious to hear yours.
Well, I don't know if it's the biggest mistake, Eric, but I think it could be the most costly. And it's falling in love with somebody that you bring into your organization, somebody that you hire, somebody that you bring onto your team. It's falling in love with them too early. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean that you shouldn't love people. I don't mean that you shouldn't care for people. But as a business owner, one of the more costly mistakes that you can fall into the trap of is that you hire somebody and the first day you're like, this person's a rock star. And then you let your guard down. Your training goes downhill. Your support of that person goes downhill. Your oversight of inspecting what you expect that person to do goes downhill. Or you fall into the fallacy of getting excited about hiring a really great salesperson who is great in another industry, but has yet to prove themselves in this industry. So the place that I've come and the way that I've been able to overcome that, because I was king of making that mistake, Eric, that's why I'm sharing that. The place that I've been able to overcome the shift that I've made is just not judging the hire too early. I've literally said to people many a times that I don't know who's going to be successful that I bring into my organization, but I'm willing to hire enough people and give enough people a chance to let, the size of the people I hire, like the quantities and the quality, is in the quantity, right? So I'm willing to hire enough sales agents and then find out where the quality is. I don't think that I have some magic trick where I can just point at a group of 10 people and pick out the one or two in that group that are automatically going to kill it in the real estate industry. I've been proven wrong time and time again. I've been proven wrong. I thought somebody would be bad and they were great. I thought somebody would be great and they were terrible. So I've just given up that need of needing to be right. And I'm more just a part of the process and a little less attached, if you will, to the outcome of that person when I hire them.
Perfect. Fred, and I appreciate this. I think I've told you that. Hopefully you know that, but I appreciate that you would come on and do this today. It means a lot. I know you're busy, but there was a lot there. So people have further questions, want to reach out to you. What's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, you can go to kevinandfred.com. That's a website where you can find our podcast. You can find our Facebook group, Next Level Agents. You can find some free downloads. You can find a lot of cool stuff there. So find us at kevinandfred.com or find me on Facebook at Fred Weaver. I'm a friend of Eric Lowry. So if you're a friend of his on Facebook, you can find me as a mutual friend, or facebook.com/Fred Weaver will get you to me. So thank you so much. Thank you to all of you in the Southwest Ohio area. What a great opportunity today. Continue tuning in. It's going to be good.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate it.